Hello and welcome to Filmfolket's podcast. We that speaks today is Göran,
Johannes,
och Tommy.
Today's movie is An American Tale. The movie in brief.
It's the 1880s in Russia, and the family Mauskowitz lose their home. They decide to emigrate to America, but there allegedly are no cats, and the streets are paved with cheese. In Hamburg, they are soon on the way by a large steamer, filled with fellow hopefuls. But their youngest son, Fievel, is washed overboard and presumed dead. Even so, he arrives in New York by floating in a bottle and sets off to find his family.
That's a good summary. I was hoping that I was going to be able to find the original dub. This time I wasn't, because we were watching the Swedish dub. And it feels like some parts of it wasn't dubbed very well. Either it was overdubbed, or it was some of the songs that was a little bit... Fievel, for example, he wasn't like singing correct, or it was a little bit false.
He was stabbing my ears.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's quite interesting film, even though it feels a little bit off when it's a lot of Swedish dialects than part what it should have been, and that they was supposed to have other regional dialects from other countries. So from that aspect, it was kind of funny to watch.
Yes, you have these family members of Fievel that have these very distinct Russian accents. But you also have this street kid that's supposed to have a little Italian-American about him, and others who are very much supposed to have Irish accents. But there is absolutely no hint of anything resembling an attempt at an Irish accent, and I don't think you could even do that in Swedish. It's a point that's very much lost, which is a real shame, because the entire movie is largely allegorical of the immigrant experience in America, and you kind of miss out on the fact that there were actually Irish people at all.
I mean, besides that, I mean, I like Don Bluth's animation just the way it is, and that he are good at making hand-drawn animation that looks very good, and also that he's able to create large monsters out of, for example, cats that mouse are afraid of, and also how the environment is animated. So it's a masterpiece in my point of view.
Animation is really good in the movie, and story-wise, it's quite good too. I just didn't like Fievel. I found him, at least not in Swedish. I don't remember how his original voice was, but I just found him to be a big crybaby throughout the movie with his Swedish voice. And everything that goes wrong around him is always his fault.
Yes, he throws his hat up on the ship's deck, and that's why he falls off. So he uses that as an excuse to go look at the fish, and he kind of gets himself into trouble.
What was this drunk guy in this movie? What was the name of his character in English?
Like Honest John, I think?
Yes, politician Honest John.
I mean, I just like his character, and he's playing a very funny drunk guy, and also the liquor that he was drinking when one of the mice was spilling it on the floor, that it started to
corrode the ground, or like dissolve the wooden planks.
Yeah. So it was also a funny detail. So
I want to say that the music is by James Horner, who also did the music for Titanic, Avatar, Aliens, Braveheart, and many other movies. It's very interesting. I didn't really think of that until I looked it up.
Well, that's interesting. Quite so.
I also like, even if the movie is, even if it is from the mouse point of view, they've made it very good animated how the human looks. For an example, in some movies, and also when it comes to short animation, never see the humans. You see some parts of the humans, but you don't see the face. So I think they've made it very good animated from that point of view as well, even if it is largely from the mouse and the cat's point of view in the story.
Yes, I think there's a point to that. You have these scenes that basically set up with humans in the foreground, and then the camera pans over to the mice in the basically the same situation. It makes the point of the story being allegorical for these human beings that went through basically the same things.
I think it's also interesting when they were going to make the plan to how are we going to stop these cats, and that they take that old myth of that big rat that was like larger than a cat to stop them. I don't know what it was called in English, but it had like another name in Swedish. I don't know if it was the same.
Giant mouse of Minsk.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking what could have been done better, and other thoughts.
Well, like I said, it's shows the immigrant experience through the medium of mice, the grand and often unrealistic expectations, the exploitation they face, and the attempts to survive by organizing. I think it's an interesting story. Just structure-wise, I think the movie is a little all over the place, but I think pacing and editing could be set up a little differently, and it would flow a little better. I would say that the cats in the start of the story, they have these fur caps and whiskers arranged into long mustaches, and that's analogous to the Tsar's Cossacks sent on a violent pogrom against the Jewish population. They, like I said before, with this, you have these humans and you have the mice, and as the Cossacks attack the humans, the cats attack the mice, and it's an interesting angle. The villain, Warren, the cat posing as a mouse, his size is very inconsistent. In some scenes he is as big as a mouse, and other times he's as big as a cat. It's really pronounced in one scene where he dumps Fievel at this sweatshop with other orphan kids, and the fat mouse that he is working in the place is bigger than he is. It's really strange. The monster growls of the cats were actually taken from Dragon in The Secret of Nim, that big cat. And also from the Balrog in Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings. Fievel is also the name of Steven Spielberg's maternal grandfather's Yiddish name. I think he's called Philip in English or something. A little typical of Don Bluth movies that he has doesn't really shy away from death. These subjects that would kind of frighten the youngest, I guess, but he does a good job in it, I think.
Speaking of Secret of Nim, I think that it was fun to see this movie because it's a little bit of a contrast from the other movie that This movie has more songs in it, when Secrets of Nim have more like one lead motif, while this feels more as a Disney movie, when it's like a new song like every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So it's an interesting angle of it. I mean, I like the story, and also the animation, the effects, and that they are using. Also, it was kind of funny when he was walking up to where he thought that his father was. When he was on the balcony and he was walking into like the gramophone player, and he walked into it, and the lady in that apartment got scared, and Fievel was falling into the gramophone player, and it was an interesting scene for attention. Do you guys have anything more to add?
Just as Johannes said, like the only thing I would have done differently was the editing. Like the fade to black transitions felt kind of numerous and a bit too long for me. But the animation was really good. It was kind of some of the earlier animation tropes, when you can see that some things are supposed to be static, and like a splat of like towards the end when Mouse's big I don't know where they were, like a pier somewhere, when that start and catch the fire with the Fievel in it, you could see that the extra pool of kerosene was a different color than the rest of it, just because it was about to get animated and lit on fire.
Yes, it's a peculiarity of this kind of cell animation to have these individual layers on top of layers, and the layer that is supposed to be interacted with is often a different color.
Not something I miss.
I mean, it's both good and bad things with hand-drawn animation, but overall I like it to look back on. I mean, other than that, I think it's a great movie, and I recommend it highly for people to watch it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, my only real complaint is that the dub is kind of weird. I would have liked to watched it with the original voice acting.
I agree.
Okay, so other ideas for next time?
Been speculating about watching this From Dusk Till Dawn, and following that Sinners.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same, and also if we are able to before the summer ends to watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I wish you all goodbye for this time. So don't forget to watch, like, and subscribe. See you next time.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.